Okay, welcome back. Today I'm going to cover something that I haven't talked about before, and that's how I composite my sketches. But first, I'll walk you through what I'm going to be doing in this exercise, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So, one of the things that I've been wanting to work on is to use my alcohol markers to experiment more with shadows, and for this sketch, I've decided that I'm going to work in the shadows followed by a color on top. Now, I'm not going to touch my shadows once they're down. In other words, I'm not going to continue to build them up after I've colored my building. My goal here is to see how my colors react with the shadow colors and kind of learn what I can and cannot do with my markers. Part of getting better is to constantly be experimenting with different styles and techniques. But before I can draw anything, I have to select the right image, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about for the rest of the video. As you can see in my reference image, it's not identical to what I've been drawing, and I'm going to talk about that. I selected this image because I really like the detail and the angles that the right side of this building makes. However, it's too wide of a building to actually draw, so I'm really only going to draw a portion of this building, and in my mind, I'm going to reframe the building and only focus on these two parts. Once I have reframed my reference photo, I'm going to take some liberties with the geometry and cut out all of the extra detail that I don't want to use. Now, I'm left with the shapes that I want to sketch. One thing that I want to mention here is that when I'm reframing the building, I'm paying attention to the rule of thirds. If you're not familiar with the rule of thirds, it's a photography technique that has you break up your image into a 3 by 3 grid where you want the focal point to fall on any one of the grid lines. As you can see here, the largest section in my scene falls perfectly on the right grid line. Another interesting thing that's happening is when I'm comparing the tall building with the short building. On the left, you can see that I'm actually getting some new angles. All of this just adds to the dynamic nature of my composition, which is going to make for a better sketch. I'm almost done making adjustments to the reference photo. I know that I'm going to be practicing color, and with those garage doors open, there's a lot of detail in there that I didn't want to get bogged down with, so I just plan on drawing out those garage doors as if they're closed. Again, these sketches are just for practice and to help you improve the things you want to work on. Feel free to take as many liberties as you need. In fact, if you noticed, I also took liberties with the stairwell. I decided not to draw out the extra contours of each landing. Okay, so now that I've explained my approach to compositing sketches, I want to spend some more time talking about the coloring. As I move over to the coloring, you'll notice that I'm starting with my shadows. One of the benefits of laying down my shadows first is that I can immediately establish depth to my sketch. I'm defining the three-dimensional form without being distracted by all the other colors. Now, when I'm ready to add the colors for the rest of my building, you'll notice that I will color over the existing shadows which I've previously put down. This just helps to blend the entire building color seamlessly into the shadows so that everything feels cohesive. And that's it. That's my final sketch. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you haven't, please give it a like and subscribe.